Tran Xuan Tan. Outside hitter number 3, Dong Van Tien. Middle blocker number 5, Tran Chien Shou. Outside hitter number 8, Lei Quang Keng. Offset hitter, their team captain, number 14, Tu Teng Tuan. Middle blocker, number 18, Vu Ngok Huang. And their libero, number 1, Huỳnh Trân Truc. Head coach for Team Vietnam is Tai Quang Lai. Let us now meet the starters for Indonesia. Outside hitter number 1, Rendy Febrian Mamilang. Outside hitter number 3, Sigit Ardian. Middle blocker number 9, Yuda Mardiansia. Opposite hitter number 12, Rivan Nurmulki. Middle blocker number 18, Iputu Randu. Setter and their team captain number 20, Nizar Julfikar. And their libero number 19, Fareza Raka. Head coach for Team Indonesia is Lee Chiu Jiang.
There you have it. Our first 6 from both squads. Of course, these 2 squads have been facing off and squaring off each other in the past editions of the SEA Games. We saw how, that's the fun part of having an international competition. You have the connivance of all the nations involved,
Yes.
especially in the officiating. We had someone from Vietnam, from Cambodia and Thailand.
Yesterday at the venue, so I'm really excited to see how they play their hearts out here today, because seeing them, we were all starstruck. Seeing them come here in the Philippines now, we want to see them in action today.
And speaking of action, that is where we're headed here as we start our competition here. This is the second game of the men's division here in the 30th Southeast Asian Games in volleyball. We started with the serve from Team Vietnam coming from number 2, Tan. They go set up for a middle hit, but it's rejected, doesn't cross.
Great anticipation there by the middle blocker of Indonesia. By Vietnam, that was a single block from their middle, and ayun nga, maagang nag-anticipate ng atake itong Vietnam.
Mukhang pinantayan agad. That was a hit coming from their middle blocker, number 18, Randu. On the other side, they set up for an open hit, but it goes out. Free point for Indonesia.
Too long by Zhuong Tien. Hindi siya masyadong naka-atras for that attack, and he had to, play his back to get that ball over.
Looking at the lineup of Team Vietnam, they have quite an aged lineup per se. Their oldest member is born in 1988. That is Khan. Itong si Khan or si Lekon Khan.
Yes.
Number 8, who's inside the court.
Yeah, so if you take a look at the lineup of Vietnam, parang kung titingnan mo, mas veteran sila in terms of age.
Yeah.
Kasi itong lineup ng Indonesia, they are parading a much younger lineup. Their youngest is 19. Ito nga si Agil, and then their eldest player naman is si Dimas. So medyo mas bata itong mga Indonesian players.
At yun nga, pag titingnan mo nga, if you're going to observe, that means they're probably starting to pass the torch already in the side of Indonesia. And that's what you have when you have these formidable programs. But when I check the World FIVB rankings, Vietnam currently is ranked at number 65 compared to Indonesia, who's ranked at 131. So there's a lot of things that, it's not fully expressed by those rankings, especially the dominance of Indonesia in the SEA Games.
And maybe nagkakaroon din sila ng mga switching of players, so we can't really tell where they at now, kasi dito pa lang natin malalaman in the SEA Games.
Yep, and you've mentioned it earlier, like even in the women's division, you were surprised that T4 is already here. But going back to our game, point goes to the side of Vietnam. Indonesia having trouble handling that ball in that last play as Vietnam continues to serve here. We have number 18 of Team Vietnam.
Yes, the middle blocker, Wu Ngao Huang.
Yep. Set up to the other side. They go to the open hit down the line. Does it work? It does.
It's a little
Does
long.
not. It's a little long.
Yeah, but if you take a look back at that set, napakaganda. It was a shoot set. However, that attack went a little long.
That was coming from Tamamilang. Seeing him in the screen right now as serve still goes to the side of Team Vietnam. Wong there, getting an ace, or rather over serving that ball. Indonesia just behind by 2 points. It's now Raka who's serving. Hit there coming from Team Indonesia going Team Vietnam going cross court. Another point.
Great one-stop play by Vietnam. You know, they're really starting off strong here in this set. And if you take a look back at that play, napakaganda. Parang halos double quick na, pero open hitter yung pumalo dun sa attack na yun.
Now it's the team captain of Team Vietnam, Juan, serving. Juan serve, a bit too strong, sails out.
You know, in the early part of this set, it has been an exchange of errors from both teams. Now, that's one interesting thing also to point out. We need to see who gets to minimize their errors in this game because, you know, they're actually equally strong teams. So, you know, minimizing your errors will be an advantage for both of the teams.
Would you say this is a moment of adjustment for them trying to find their groove here?
Siguro, kasi ano siya first game and first day natin dito sa seagames volleyball. So, I think early part of the set pa naman, nandiyan pa yung adjustment nila as well as in the court.
Yeah.
Kasi even though they got the chance to train there, hindi naman siya yung full training. Parang more of a workout lang.
Yep. And of course, you don't have the lights, the crowd right behind you. If you're looking at it, we have a really good crowd here inside the Phil Sports Arena as they go for an opposite hit on the side of Team Indonesia that is coming from number 12, Rivan.
That was a good rally from both teams. Alam mo, bihira lang tayo makakita ng mga rallies in the men's volleyball because usually it's one stop, given the athleticism of the players. Pero yung kanina, medyo nag-exchange of rallies.
Tamamilang serves, doesn't cross. So that gives a freebie to the side of Team Vietnam.
At the first technical timeout, the score is 8-5 of Vietnam with the lead.
Break. And we're back here
End of the first technical
the
timeout.
men's volleyball competition in the 30th Southeast Asian Games. Sinjan Reyes with Carmela Tunay. Looking back at some of the key plays that we had from that first gap, we saw a lot of action coming from Team Vietnam early scoring, but not right now. You're seeing Team Filipinas right in front of us. We saw Marcus Peo, of course, Brian Bagunas. The whole squad was actually watching, scouting
getting ready.
early.
Zoning out na.
And syempre, kaabang-abang yung kanilang match right after this as we see that off-the-block kill coming from Team Indonesia's number 3, Sigit.
Alam mo, sa take-off niya pa lang, you would see the angle that Sigit wanted to take, and kahit off the block yan, ang layo ng tinalsik ng bola because he had too much power in that attack.
High flyer eh.
Yes.
As we go back to our ball game setup, they go back row. And scoring from the back row is none other than Rivan.
Yes, and he has been very effective in that opposite back row attack. And you can see the contact on that ball was high enough to, you know, go above the blockers.
We saw that on that last replay as serve comes from Team Indonesia. Vietnam having a trouble handling that serve. Tumidikit na or nakadikit na ang Team Indonesia.
Yeah, it's good to see Indonesia making up for their service errors. They've made a couple earlier in this set.
It seems like they're in rekindled spirits here as the games continue.
We are tied at 8.
Setup coming from Vietnam. They go back row hit from the opposite side. That's number 14 of Team Vietnam.
Team captain. Yan, we can see an exchange of back row opposite attacks. Been effective for both squads.
So a lot of combinations we're starting to see. So it seems like our teams are starting to find their groove as Indonesia gets that. They go to a hit. The combination, patong play kung dito sa Pilipinas.
Ang ganda kasi pababa na yung blockers when the attacker hit that set.
That's the kind of quality plays that you'd be expecting when you are watching the SEA Games. The last sequence, some trouble on the side of Team Indonesia. Another freebie for Vietnam.
I think they've had 3 already na service error.
So things that they might have to start to work on because it seems to be symptomatic. They go up to the open hit coming from their opposite, Rivan.
Again, combination plays working well for Team Indonesia kasi yung mga open hits nila medyo naaabangan. So I think they really need to maintain their good passing for them to be able to come up with these kinds of plays.
And what's nice to see in that play, that was a short set.
Yes.
It wasn't that high, and it was quite kind of quick for an opposite hitter. So there's a lot of adjustments also. Parang running for the lefty na running. But right now, Vietnam still ahead by 1 point. And we have number 18 of Team Vietnam, Vu Doc Quang. Set up. They go to the opposite side. Denied there by Tama Milang.
I think that set, which was set by the middle blocker of Vietnam, it was a bit too high. And in men's volleyball, madaling bantayan yung mga medyo matataas na siniset. Kasi basta na nila eh. So parang yung anticipation nila on the attack, madali nilang nabablock as we saw in that last play.
You being a women's player, you notice that those small differences between the men's and the women's, and you've mentioned faster plays ang requirement dito. That's what we're trying to explain.
So women's kasi kahit mataas or may mga players na gusto nila mababa, pero even though you set the ball high, may mga parang placement shots lang na makakapatay. Dito sa men's, syempre iba rin yung agility nila, yung athleticism nila. So they're able to go to mga places na kahit i-placement shots mo, makukuha nila. So it's really about power. But pag nabantayan ka ng block, yun yung magiging problema. So kanila advantage talaga yung mga mabababang sets.
So those low fast sets ang binabanggit nitong si Mela. They set up to the open side. The cross court kill works again for Tama Milang. I've been mentioning his name consistently. It's no surprise.
He's feeling it in this game.
Showing a lot of heart, a lot of intensity.
And if you take a look at the score, hindi lumalayo itong dalawang, yung scores ng dalawang teams.
Walang bumibitaw. Sabi nga ng iba nating mga kasama sa broadcast team. But that hit, he was quite under the ball there. Talking about Team Vietnam.
But there's a violation, I think, sa side ng Indonesia.
So that's a freebie. Parang yung coach ng Indonesia was signaling, slow down, just keep calm.
Personally, I think mas meron pang rivalry itong Vietnam and Indonesia as compared to any of both teams against Thailand. Kasi sila talaga yung nagpapalitan lang dun sa final slot every SEA Games against Thailand.
Yeah, but what's interesting though, Mela, is if you look at Team Indonesia, their history is quite heavy when it comes to men's volleyball. Parang legacy na ang tinatawag mo dyan. Consistently, every year, they did not miss a medal finish except in 2001.
And if we, take a look at the history of Vietnam naman, they are yet to win a gold medal dito sa SEA Games men's volleyball. So, ito nakikita natin talagang they're really taking this game seriously, and maybe they're really looking forward to get that first gold medal this year.
Though, if you look at the trend of this Vietnam squad, it seems like there's a sign that they're starting to beef up their lineup. They're starting to have that program as they go to a setup. They go back row, denied there by the blockers of Team Indonesia, Sigit and Yuda, if I'm not mistaken.
All eyes on the captain. 2-1, double block from Indonesia. Nabantayan ng mabuti yung atake na yun ni 2-1.
We saw our first referee, Pawayat from Thailand. Serve now, coming from Team Indonesia, picked up there by Vietnam. They go up to the open side. On the other side, picked up there by Yuda. They go to a back row hit and a strong hit at that, coming from Rivan. That
At the
brings
second
Team
technical
Indonesia
timeout,
ahead
the
now
score
by
16 to
2 points.
14 in favor of Indonesia.
leading after that first set scrubble. So we'll see what happens when we return here on the SEA Games 2019. Back here inside the Phil Sports Arena, we saw some members of Team Thailand who just won earlier. Right now we have some fans from Team Indonesia, and this one we have other teams just observing early on because it's a heated matchup that we have here between Vietnam and Indonesia as Milang catches up on that. Hinabol denied there by the middle blocker of Team Vietnam. That was Huang.
Yeah, great save there by Indonesia. However, nabantayan na mabuti ito ni Bu Nga Huang from Vietnam.
Right now we have the setter, Pan, serving. Picked up there by Indonesia. They go to a quick, nice pancake coming from Vietnam. Denied there was the hit from the open side. Indonesia getting back at point. Let's look at that again.
Using the hands of the blockers to swipe it off, swipe it out. Easy point
Easy
for
point for
Vietnam.
rather. Going straight to the antenna. Vietnam ties it easily after that technical timeout, Mela.
Timeout to Indonesia.
And speaking of timeouts, we're going to a timeout of Team Indonesia. And ito, unlike the games that we have, we don't get to hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
So, but I will ask you as the analyst, what can you say is the problem of Team Indonesia? Because they just rallied a lot of points. Nanguna sila 2 points ahead right before our second technical timeout. Tapos parang ito, hinabol sila ng Team Vietnam mabilis.
I think even when Indonesia got to the second technical timeout first, nagbigay din yun ng parang breather sa Team Vietnam. They were able to regroup and refocus, and they got 2 straight points from that timeout.
And that probably just gives an alarm to the head coach of Team Indonesia, talking about Coach Lee Tio Tiang.
And you can see the respect also. Kahit 2 points lang yung hinabol ng Vietnam, nag-timeout na agad itong coach ng Indonesia.
Pero ito, mabilis bumawi ang Team Indonesia with that hit coming from Randu. Vietnam squad looking quite unhappy but dancing a bit on the sidelines.
Relaxed pa naman sila.
Stretching their joints probably. Serve coming from Indonesia. Ooh, miscommunication on the side of Vietnam.
No one from the Vietnam team got that ball over.
Tan was trying to go to Huang.
Yeah, there was a confusion on the side of Vietnam kasi medyo overball na yung reception. So hinabol lang nitong setter. But apparently walang nakapag-over nun.
Masasabi mo may pagkabukad din eh.
Oo. Hinabol lang eh. But ito may bawi agad. Team captain, number 14, Tutuan. Facing right, hitting left. Great angle there. An off-the-block hit.
You'd be impressed, no? His body language seemed like he was going cross-court.
Yeah.
And then he suddenly kumapik eh. Pupunta sa down the line.
And nakita niya rin kasi na single block lang. So he took
There.
advantage of that.
Another over ball coming from Team Vietnam. That's a freebie for Indonesia. Indonesia back to a 2-point advantage. See their captain of Team Vietnam, Juan, on your screens.
So far in this game, Vietnam has been banking on their attacks. Wala pa tayo masyado nakikitang blocks from them. Pero ito namang Indonesia, more on mga blocks and check, tapos dun sila kuma-counter-attack.
So yun yung mga key factors towards what's happening in our scoreboard as we see this pancake save coming from the libero of
Timeout, Vietnam.
Indonesia, Rakha. And that last play just leads to this Vietnamese timeout because Indonesia bumawi agad.
Oo.
And umangat agad ng 2 points. Mela, so far, what were the changes after the timeout of Coach Lee Tio Tiang of Team Indonesia?
Well, obviously, after that timeout, medyo mas nagising lang talaga sila. They were able to pass better. Kaya yung mga setups nila has been very efficient for them the last 2 points.
as we see
Mga staff natin.
yung mga kababayan natin, our
Sa
brave and
SEAGAMES.
helpful volunteers. SEAGAMES, maraming salamat at mabuhay po kayo sa pagsuporta sa amin at sa ating lahat as we host the 30th Southeast Asian Games. Serve there, doesn't cross for Sigit of Indonesia.
That timeout worked well for the coach of Vietnam, breaking the
Substitution
momentum
for
of
Vietnam.
Indonesia.
Number 18 out, number 9, Win Van Hook in.
So there's a substitution on the side of Team Vietnam. They're putting in a Hook, number 9, to serve. So Nguyen Van Hook, number 9, serve. Set up there. They go to the open side to Tamalilang going off the block. Point goes to side of Team Indonesia.
Tamamila really making some noise here in this game. Siya rin talaga yung momentum breaker ng Vietnam. When they need a point, they go to Tamamilang.
And it seems like he is the go-to player. So let's see how the game progresses as that serve comes from Randu. Tip there coming from Team Vietnam. That works for Tew. Or rather, that doesn't work for Tew because it sails wide. There's too much space on that hit.
Para nagkalituhan din sila on that setup. I don't know if that was really meant for him, pero pumasok din kasi ng second tempo yung open hitter ng Vietnam.
Those are the things that they have to be conscious of, especially if you're facing an Indonesian team that seems to be fired up right now. Vietnam behind by 3 points as number 8, Khan, serves, or rather number 14, Deacon pa.
Buti nahabol sa 8 seconds.
Set up there, they go to the open side, another point for Tamamilang.
Again, so far for Indonesia, yung mga open hits nila have been always angled to the cross-court side. So far, wala pa tayong nakikitang down the line. So, I think Vietnam has to adjust. They need to really anticipate balls going majority doon sa side ng cross-court.
So far, we've been noticing it's going towards zone 1, right?
Zone 5.
And zone 1. Kasi pag yung opposite naman. So they're really going for those corners.
Oo, baka narinig ako ni Sigit kasi kanina sabi ko puro cross-court. Eto naman din na on the line niya.
Variation.
Yeah, however, outside yung atake niya na yun.
Substitution for Vietnam. Number 2 out, number 10, Ding Van Tu in.
So Vietnam starting to find some changes here, trying to find their group.
The setter.
Because it's a 3-point lead for Team Indonesia now.
Again, the backline attack for Indonesia from that opposite side have been working wonders for their team. Ang taas din talaga kasi ng contact nitong ni Rivan. He can bring it on to any angle, kaya nahihirapan din talaga yung defenders to guard his attack.
It's quite a high leaper there.
Tsaka yung contact mataas.
The reach of Rivan, looking at our statistics here.
Again, same attack for Tran Chu. Same result, outside din.
Indonesia takes set number 1, 25-20.
That's yield set for Indonesia.
It's a 342